Unit 15, Part 5, we've seen why existential instantiation needs to be restricted, right? To prevent inferences like this, which are clearly not truth-preserving, but lead us from truth into falsity, right? The restriction is when you do an existential instantiation, you have to include, as part of the justification, flag A. And you must obey the first rule of flagged letters, namely that that letter must be new to the proof. The flagged letter must be new to the proof. With that restriction on the rule, we can see that this false proof no longer goes through. At step 4, we would not be correctly using our qualified rule, existential instantiation, because we would, to do so, we'd have to write E-I, flag the letter, flag A, and we would be breaking the rule that flagged letter would not be new to the proof. You could do an EI at 4, and what would you write? EB dot. EB and NB, where B is a different individual, right? So you're inferring to a different individual. That's exactly what you want. That is a valid inference, right? You've done 2 existential instantiations. You've inferred from there are odd numbers and that there are even numbers, that the individual A is an odd number, and the individual B, which is different to A, is an even number. Right? A does not equal B. That's the whole thing we wanted to do. We wanted to prevent the oddness and the evenness being predicated of the same individual A. Right? So you can still instantiate, you can still EI, but not to the same individual. And then, of course, you can't get the opposing predicates true of the same individual, and you cannot get to this, right? Good. So, and we started talking about the strategy point derived from the fact that EI is restricted and UI is not restricted, right? That you should, it's an application of the general strategy tip, of which there'll be 2 instances. Always do the hard rules before the easy rules. The one we'll be getting to is always set up for universal generalization before you do universal instantiation. But the first application, the one we're on now, is when you're doing instantiations, right? So you've got a list of premises. When you're doing instantiations, do EI before UI. Most of the proofs you do, if you go through the exercises in Unit 2, you will see what you often have either as your explicit list of premises, or after you've done the CQNs on the negations, right, what you're left with, the formulas you're left with from which you're going to be instantiating are one existential statement and a bunch of universal statements, right? It's often going to result in that list, in which case it's very easy to do the one you've got the one existential statement, you do that first, always. Do the existential instantiation before the universal instantiation. Why? Because then all the predicates can apply to the same individual, which is exactly what you're going to need to be able to derive the conclusion. Okay, so this is 280F, page 280, example F that Klenk runs through. So this is a proof, and you will see how you were able to do it properly applying EI and just following the strategy of doing EI before UI. Okay, so you've got these 2 premises. Notice that you've just got one existential statement. Something is both F and G. All H's are G. One existential, one universal. What are you trying to derive? You're trying to derive that there is something which is both F and not H. Okay? So, before you look at the correct answer, notice this. If I fail to follow this advice, if I was not aware that I needed to follow a strategy like this, and I went ahead and I universally instantiated in step 3 to get what's here in 4, right? If I did UI first and I had HA hook GA, UI to that, and now I try and existentially instantiate, and I try and write this, right? I would write F, so this would be above, these would be swapped, basically. right? And I would have FA and not GA, and I would have to write, to do the rule properly, EI, flag A, but I would have broken the rule. A would not be new to the proof. This is the crucial point, okay? A would not be new to the proof. A would have already appeared, right? This would be step 4, and this would be step 3, and A would have already appeared. If I did the UI first to this, and then did this, the only way to follow the rule would to have this be FB and not GB, right, of a different individual. That would be the only way to follow the rule, but I would not be able to get the combination of predicates of the same individual that I need to do the existential generalization. I wouldn't be able to get anything like, I wouldn't be able to get the conjunction of F and not H true of the same individual, right? Because look, this is the F, this is the H, they've got to go together. Okay, so you can't do UI before EI and have the information contained in the quantifier statements be true of the same individual. But here's what you have to be confident that you can do. If you do follow the rules, do the EI first, so I've got FA and not GA, EI, flag A, I've followed the rule, have not broken the rule. A, the individual, the letter that's flagged is new to the proof. EI on premise 1, right? Now, at step 4, I've got this universal statement, I'm universally instantiating. Oh wait, A is flagged. Can I still do the UI to the same individual A? Can I write HA hook GA? Am I confident that I can do that? Be confident that you can do that. Yes, you can. This is what I was talking about in the last part. Be aware of what it means to say that universal instantiation is an unrestricted rule. You do not have to restrict its use. You can, right? You're given that, right? Think of why we're restricting existential instantiation. Right? You can just think of what the rule allows you to do. It's true of some individual that F and not G. So therefore it's true of A. Well, flagging, we're flagging to say, you know, this is only under special circumstances, right? We have to keep this individual separate. But the universal statement, right, that says it's true of all things that if it's H, then it's G, that is also true of the individual for whom the existential statement was true, right? I'm trying to use the word quarantined. You'll notice that Klenk, when she's explaining the flagging subproof universal generalization, she talks about it as if they're quarantining the individual, which is very topical in our coronavirus times. All right, so, right, point is EI before UI. So that's what we've got here, right? We did the UI. So now, right, the individual A, we have a bunch of things true of the individual A. Let's call him Andrew. Let's say he is both F and not G. If he's H, then he's G. Okay, and this is how many the proofs go. Again, I point you to the strategy summarization, page 288, which is a crucial one for crucial summary of your strategy for pure quantifier problems. You do instantiations, you do truth functional reasoning, right? Notice this is simp, modus tollens, conjunction, truth functional reasoning, right? And then a generalization at the end. Many problems you do will be of this nature. Okay, maybe CQN if you need to do CQNs or QNs first, if these are, say, negations. Okay. All right, so see, you just simplify these, the two-part simp, the 2 parts of 3, sim 3, and then I have a modus tollens to get me not HA, which gives me this instance, right, which is the instance I need to do the existential generalization, which is my conclusion. I do EG at the end. What kind of rule is EG? Think it through every time. For the first 100 times you do proofs until you're very clear about the nature of these rules. Existential generalization, if I've got some instance, if some instance is true of some individual, I'm entitled to infer that there exists some one thing for which it's true. Yes, that's unrestricted. don't have to worry about flagging or anything like that. It's an unrestricted rule. No problem.